On this edition of Mets Digest, we have a massive update on Paul Blackburn. He is ready to join the team imminently. And what does that mean for rotation? Namely, Tylor Megill, the man that was brought in to fill in that spot where Paulie Punchouts was sent down to deal with that injury. We're going to talk about all of that and more on this edition of Mets Digest. What is going on, everybody? My name is Flobo Boyce, and I'm a lifelong Mets fan, but you already knew that. Mets Digest is your one-stop shop for orange and blue content. Say hello to Metropolitans all around the globe because we are taking over. Thank you so much for joining, and also thank you so much for hitting that subscribe button, because as I see this right now, that not subscribed number is getting smaller. It was in the 80s for a bit. It's now down to 76.8% people who are watching the content and not engaging or not subscribing. What are you doing? Do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Myself, alongside Mike D'Angelo, we try really hard to give you the news sources and back them up so you can do your own research as well. People always say we don't deliver the goods. Oh, we deliver the goods every time on Mets Digest. But let's talk about delivering the goods. The Mets are doing pretty well. As I record this, we're tied with a 7-game win streak after sweeping the Red Sox at home. Red Sox are a decent team. They're not also the greatest, but they're fantastic in their own right. I'm giving them a little credit. Matching our season high post-Grimace era. Can you believe it, though? A 7-game win streak, and we're still 1/2 games out of the wild card, which means there's still work to be done. That's the whole reason I'm bringing that up, because we have a little bit of update on Paul Blackburn. If you remember him, Paul Blackburn was the deadline acquisition. He wasn't really becoming lights out for us before he went down with an injury, but thankfully didn't need surgery, and though will be activated very shortly. This comes from AM New York and Joe Pantorno, which I do follow on that X platform. Do we still call it X? You call it Twitter? Let me know what do you call it. But anyway, Joe says, starting pitcher Paul Blackburn is expected to rejoin the Mets rotation during their series from September 9 to 11 in Toronto against the Blue Jays. Both the veteran right-hander and Mendoza confirmed. The 30-year-old threw 6.2 innings in a rehab start with AAA Syracuse on Tuesday, allowing 1 run on 4 hits with 4 strikeouts. Not necessarily earth-shattering, but definitely something to consider. Now, Paul Blackburn, after being acquired at the trade deadline, is a nice 5th option on a rotation, especially when we don't really know if Kodai Senga is going to be healthy enough to return. I think Mike D'Angelo reported that on the channel a couple days ago, that Kodai Senga is willing to help the team however he would like, whether it is becoming a starter, a 5th starter, or 6th starter, or coming out of the long bullpens. That means the rotation has to be on point. Thankfully, Severino is in a form. Manaea is in a form. And even Quintana had some decent starts, but as you can tell right now, the numbers from Paulie Punchouts wasn't exactly amazing, but maybe a solid hands, because we did notice on that Red Sox series that Carlos Mendoza is willing to use the bullpen as we see fit. I know the bullpen is something that has been a liability for a long time, but we saw a use of Maton and Brazoban and Young last night that really made us go, we may have some depth. We may have some numbers going forward. So it's always good to see what that means. And if Paul joins that rotation, which means someone will have to move, and who is that going to be? Now, Tylor Megill got the last start for New York and was held on a pretty short leash, had a 4 spot of elite to work with, so that dwindled down to 3 before he was pulled. I think he was in line for the win against that Red Sox team, but definitely is somebody who understands that he doesn't really want to go back to AAA Syracuse, because he has gone on record and saying he's going to do anything to help the team win. And this is something he told Philip Martinez over at SNY TV. New Yorkers, New Jersey guys know who SNY is. For those fans of the Mets who are international, SNY is the local broadcast channel that covers the Mets and their games, and really does fantastic work with their social media work as well. So Megill says the Mets have a rotation of veteran arms in Sean Manaea, Jose Quintana, and Luis Severino, to pair with young lefty David Peterson, who's also having a resurgence, who have helped the team to an incredible stretch that includes their current 7-game win streak. Can you believe that? 7 games? Wow. But the Mets could use an extra arm in the bullpen, especially a long man, which is super important if you think about it. And so that's where Megill would probably fit in there. Yeah, he continues. I've pitched in the bullpen, started. This is nothing new to me. Megill said it was comfort level, pitching out of the bullpen. If that's what they want me to do, so be it. I want to help this team win. If that's what I need to do, that's what I'll do. I don't want to say anything, but his bro is a reliever. There's nothing wrong with being a reliever. And also, when the team is going great and have some good vibes, of course you want to be a part of that as well. We saw that a little bit earlier this season with Adrian Hauser being the long man before he was DFA'd. So let's take a look at this. This is Megill's numbers as it is right now. Again, pretty much a solid hand. Definitely helped us out when we needed it, when Blackburn went down with that contusion, and it was a serviceable hand. Nothing too spectacular, but definitely was able to pivot when things got in trouble for the guy. We saw Mendoza go to his bullpen when needed, and this is why you would need someone who has that power to go innings 2, 3, 4. Maybe don't want to start a game with him, but definitely have a close game, especially in the playoff race. You want to rest some arms. It's good to have a guy maybe go when someone blows up, because as we get into the stretch of the playoffs, it can be very, very tenuous, right? Sometimes even an ace, and like Manaea may have a bad outing, and you may need to bring someone in the third or the fourth to carry you into your normal bullpen position. So Blackburn's reemergence with the team will probably set off a cascading effect with a bunch of individuals who need to be either sent down or DFA, depending on who qualifies for what, who has options. But Tylor Megill has stepped up and said, hey, look, I got brought up to be the fifth man in this rotation, but if you need me to be in that bullpen spot, in that long relief, in that setup man spot, please, please, please consider me. Now, I liked Megill a couple seasons ago when he stepped in for DeGrom. We're going back to 2022. Remember the Tylor Megill chance? He is not that pitcher anymore. But when you need someone to eat innings, which is kind of an odd thing to say in this day and age with the inflated steal stat and how offense has pretty much been stymied batting average wise, as everyone kind of leans more into on-base percentage. But you may need someone to really make sure that the time goes on. And once we have the defense to back that up, with some of our key players, especially in the outfield, maybe you should probably give Megill a shot as an option for our eventual September run and hopefully our playoff roster. What say you, though? Are you willing to do another gamble or flyer on Tylor Megill in that bullpen? Or have you seen enough? And I can understand if you feel the other way. I mean, there was a 4-0 lead that instantly got evaporated in that Boston Red Sox game and really put not only Citi Field back into silent mode, but gave Boston a chance to get back into the game. Now, Boston luckily tripped over their own shoes and walked in a whole bunch of runs that really make that game beyond doubt. That thing kind of happens only because we have the good vibes of a winning streak. Do you trust Megill in a playoff situation? I mean, dying to hear what you think about that. But anyway, we get Blackburn. That's great. Getting healthy bodies and arms back is always a good thing. If Kodai Senga comes back, that's also a good thing. I think for the first time in a long time, we may have an embarrassment of riches. Yep, you've reached the end of the video. Thank you so much for rocking with me. I can't believe it. The Mets are just that close to breaking through. Can you imagine if this is the team that goes all the way? Can you imagine if you were already on this bandwagon and you've seen your friends jump on? I know I'm excited. We'll be back here very, very soon with more Mets content as we roll into that series with the Cincinnati Reds and the Toronto Blue Jays, myself alongside Mike D'Angelo. Again, let us know what you think about the channel, about Tylor Megill in the comments below. And until next time, it is LJM to the bitter end.